now, the Delaware Valley's only prime-time news hour, honored by the Associated Press as the best newscast in Pennsylvania, the 10 o'clock news.
Well, as people in the Midwest start to rebuild their lives after the worst flooding this century, help is on the way from here in the Delaware Valley. Steve Coleman joins us live now from Newtown Square with details. Steve?
Jacqueline, that's right. You will remember the community of Newtown Square. It is the same town that sponsored a rescue and relief effort to South Florida after the devastation of Hurricane Andrew. Well, tonight they are doing it again, this time a different destination, the nation's Midwest, where people are only now beginning to pull themselves out of the great flood of 1993. As they do nearly every day of the year, firefighters and police officers in Newtown Square are responding to an emergency call. But unlike any other, this call is coming from nearly half a continent away in the flood-ravaged Midwest.
There's houses out there with mud in the basements, mud on the sides of the houses, debris in the streets. Collapsed portions of buildings are going to be tearing things down and cleaning up and hauling away.
Some 75 firefighters, police officers, paramedics, and a few civilians from across the Delaware Valley are heading to the Quad Cities area of Iowa and Illinois, where they plan to dig out, pump, and siphon in any way they can the floodwaters and mud which have inundated entire towns. Among the volunteers, Terry Graham, a fourth-generation firefighter from Rose Tree. This effort, she says, is all part of the job.
We spent a couple hours last night looking around the house thinking, what would we take if it happened to us? I feel for them, I really do. I wish we could do more.
And Terry, like nearly everyone else, is using vacation time to make the trip.
He's just waving bye-bye.
Leaving behind family and friends to tackle what is most likely the largest cleanup and recovery job they will ever have.
After cleaning the homes, a lot of them are going to have to remove the floors. The floors are all warped and they're got to be cut up and hauled out of the home. So that's going to be a major job.
The buses and vans and supplies have been donated, as has this fire engine from Swarthmore, which will be given to the town of Occoquan, Illinois. They lost theirs in the flood. And of course, the time is donated as well by men and women who don't know precisely what lays ahead. But as in any emergency, they will go where they are needed to do what needs to be done.
I'm part of this service to be of service to my neighbor, and the opportunity came up. It's a once-in-a-lifetime shot, and I might be able to be some help.
I don't think there's a better definition of volunteerism than the one that you just heard from Terry Graham. The group pulled out just a couple of minutes ago. You probably saw it in the pre-show leading into our broadcast. They are headed for Columbus, Ohio, and from there they will be directing their efforts to the city of Campbell Island, Illinois. And those folks out there are certainly grateful for any help that they can receive from the Delaware Valley. I'm Steve Coleman reporting live in Newtown Square. That's the very latest. Lee and Jacqueline, back to you.
All right, thank you, Steve. Still ahead.
This is KYW-TV, Philadelphia. This is the news tonight with Jennifer Ward and Bruce Hamilton. First weather with David Rogers and Yuki Washington on sports. And now, the news tonight.
And regarding that flood relief story we were just telling you about, there are a group of local volunteers who are helping out. KYW3's Robin McIntosh has their story.
The Newtown Square firehouse looked and sounded more like a military headquarters tonight as more than 70 firefighters prepared to do battle. The enemy this time wasn't smoke and flame, but water and mud, floods that have inundated the Midwest. And tonight, Delaware County is running to the rescue.
It's going to be a long time, 9 days away from home and work, but the hard work will pay off in the long run.
Ed Rakowski, a volunteer with the Ogden Fire Company, and his fiancée, Sandy O'Brien, said their last goodbyes tonight before he headed off to Moline, Illinois, lending a hand in the massive flood cleanup 900 miles away.
It's going to be helping some people that really need help. I'm really happy for him that he's doing this, but I wish I could go with him.
The 9-day rescue effort called Delaware County Cares, 30 fire companies donating time, money, manpower, and trucks full of relief.
Pumps, shovels, axes, saws, basically you name it. If it's anything having to do with salvage, it's going.
Besides 75 firefighters and literally tons of rescue equipment, nearly a dozen vehicles will be rolling to the Midwest. And one of those vehicles, a fire truck, is going to stay. The Swarthmore Fire Company donating a 1970 pumper to a needy company in Illinois.
They have lost two pieces of apparatus to flood-related operations. So It's our feeling that they can use it a little bit more than we can.
After some hugs and kisses along with some tears, the volunteers loaded on the bus, donated once word of the effort got out. Tonight, help is on the way because Delaware County cares. In Newtown Square, Robin McIntosh, the News Tonight.
And time for the weather tonight, including the 5-day.
Some local volunteers returned home from the Midwest today to a rousing welcome. Members of Delaware County Cares were given a hero's welcome as they arrived at Newtown Square, the fire department tonight. 77 volunteers spent a week in the flood-ravaged Midwest, helping residents there restore their homes. And coming up...
Action News, Delaware Valley's leading news program, with Phil Andrews and Rob Jennings.
Some Delaware County firefighters have just returned from the flood-ravaged Midwest. David Murphy has details of their rescue mission.
Sirens were blaring tonight in Newtown Square, welcoming home 77 road-weary firefighters. Loved ones were reunited.
Glad to be back. You ain't kidding. It's been a long 9 days.
A long 9 days, all right, doing heavy-duty work. These are pictures of the Pennsylvania volunteers taken by a TV station in Keithsburg, Illinois last week. That's where this group, under the name Delaware County Cares, pumped out and cleaned up mud-soaked homes and businesses. Swarthmore's truck was one of several on the scene. Tonight, the returning volunteers are full of stories of how bad it was.
It was just total devastation. Everything was, everybody's, their life was ruined from the flood.
In Illinois, Jason Yelechko was interviewed about how good it feels to help people with so much suffering. But tonight, he told me the work was risky.
Basements were just filled with raw sewage. Houses were falling apart, literally. I mean, our guys were going in working and we're falling through floors.
This group has put this kind of effort together before. They went to Florida to help out hurricane victims. They also traveled to flood-ravaged Johnstown, Pennsylvania back in the 70s, as well as Wilkes-Barre. The message they have tonight is how much more help is still needed out there. Sending a donation to the Red Cross is their suggestion. Delaware County Cares, by the way, was all volunteer. Organizers say no taxpayer money was used, and they've recovered almost all their expenses thanks to donations. In Newtown Square, David Murphy, Channel 6 Action News.
Pope John Paul II